Go ahead. No, it's good. Huh? They need to turn you down. That was, yeah. Lindsay's. Yes, Kid Spring, you're dismissed. I'm sorry. Lindsay's like, can I stop playing now? I'm like, yes. You know, it's a pretty versatile woman that when one of our guitarists doesn't show up can just jump in there and just start playing from a keyboard. I don't know if y'all know that. That's pretty awesome right there. So, how many of you brought your Bibles? Let me get my New Year's hat on. It's New Year's Day. Everybody got your Bibles? If you don't, you got your Bible apps? Really quick, is those baskets still going around? I don't mean to interrupt the offering, but can you put that slide back up of that Menti meter? And let's see where we are on that. I see some of the answers coming. Go ahead and pass the baskets if y'all can do that. We got some that's waiting back here. You got it coming up, Tyler? Okay. So again, let me give you this information. I just found out on my phone you can only vote one time per device. Does that make sense? So if you voted once on a phone, well, I guess you have to go out and go back in, but I wasn't going to do that. But anyway, so you can load back in, but you can only do it one time per visit, and then you have to go away and then come back and visit again. But I'm going to give you this information again because you can do this online as well. So the name of it is Menti. What was that? Y'all call it? You go to menti.com. So you write that down. And then you'll punch in the code, and I don't have it now. 21 16 52. Okay? If you need that, Lindsay's the one to see after service because this is her magical stuff here. So you can see up here that the stuff that people, based on you, this is you guys. Nowhere else is this happening right now. Only the people in this room know about this. Okay? Now, as we go forward and people sign in on their computers and they do stuff over the next several weeks, these are the things, and I've never seen it. These are the things that you are saying that you are in your top 5 of working on. Now, I want you to look at some of the things that come up there. Relationships, finances. Biggest thing is people are wanting help with relationships. That may be relationships with each other. I'm not sure what you're considering that, but it's relationships is the issue. And understand if you're one of those people here today and you think that nobody else has relationship problems, nobody else has family issues or work issues that revolve around relationships, if you think that you're all by yourself in that, you're wrong. Largest population of this group is in the same place you are. Next is finances. We all struggle with that. We're all having issues. Attitude, health, all of these things, and these things will continue to update. My point is, over the next several weeks, we're going to talk about these more, and I'm going to work with those things to help us as a church to improve in those areas. Okay? And let me tell you sort of where I'm coming from. Today is New Year's Day. Okay? All right, Tyler, black that screen there. Can? So today is New Year. The reason I did that because everybody's going to watch that and not watch me. So it's like, yes. Okay. So today is New Year's Day. I got the little hat from Georgia Southern. They were giving this out to have a little party time at Georgia Southern, and that's my celebration time. But New Year's Day is an interesting day to me. New Year's Day is a time when a calendar or a date on the calendar tells us things can be different. Change can happen. Any other day of the year, we get frustrated with that. We get frustrated when things change. And here's what I mean. How many of you have already made a New Year's resolution? All right, so not many. That's good. I mean, maybe it's good. How many of you have made a New Year's resolution before in the past? How many of you have failed to keep a New Year's resolution? Oh, okay. How did more hands go up that failed than actually did it? I mean, it's like you really admit, well, screw it, I failed up, failed. So anyway, but my point is, I have known people, including myself, who have said, well, I'm going to go on a diet. Let's use that. I didn't see diet up there. Maybe that fell underneath health. I'm going to go on a diet, but I'm going to wait. I'm not going to go on a diet in December. I'll wait till New Year's. And I'll start then, and we postpone that. Has anybody else ever done something like, I'm going to do something, but I'm not going to do it now. I'm going to wait to this special day. New Year's Eve. What? Huh? Because on that day, I can start all over, right? Everybody, you understand? It's something like it's new. We can start over. I can change something. I can change about something about myself. I can change this. And it's okay, because when I make that change, nobody can say anything, because everybody's trying something new on New Year's, at least for a day or two. And I can blame it on my New Year's resolution. Not blame it on the fact that I want to get better. Not blame it on the fact that I want to do something. But I can blame it on that. And so that becomes my scapegoat. And so now it's not me. It's that dead-burn resolution. That New Year's resolution, I want to read the Bible, or I want to go to church, or I want to do, you understand? We can talk spiritual things. I want a better relationship with my family. I want to do better at work. I want to be more healthy and more active. Am I hitting on anything that you've ever said to yourself that you'd like to do? Yeah. I'd like to have a better attitude. I'd like to have a better approach. I'd like to learn more. I'd like to make a bigger impact in the world. There's all kinds of things that we could do in this day. It centers around this day of us being able to change. Because I think everybody wants a new chance to start over. Sometimes we just want to start over. You know what they call that in video world or in the games? You know what they call that? I want to hit the reset button. You ever felt like you want to hit a reset button? I just wish I could just reset and start over. I wish I had another chance to meet that person for the first time again. I wish I had another chance to take back what I said to somebody that started this whole thing of where we ended up at now. I wish you see where I'm coming from? It's just like we all want to hit reset. And I began to put these two things together as I'm trying to lay out where we are going to go this year in 2017 as a church. Of where I feel like God is calling us, or me, and the leadership of our church to lead this church to. And so with that, I come to a couple of conclusions. Number one, I believe that people have a natural desire for self-improvement. I want you to think about that. I think it's inherent in us. It's a natural thing for us to want to improve, to want to get better. Now, let me tell you how, and I mean, I've done some stuff. We had a team working with me for the last 2 weeks. We had some of our leadership that are school teachers, and they were out, and they generously gave us their time. We got volunteers who come and work with me to prep things out, to get it out of my head, put it on paper, and then we work with it, because it's like, until you hang around with me a couple of days, you don't know what goes on up inside of this walls up here inside of my head, and it's crazy, man. But people help me get that out and articulate it in a way that's better than what I might be doing right now. I believe that people have an desire to improve. I even talked about, I'm thinking about, I got always talking about gorillas. I don't know why I was talking about gorillas. I think it was Lindsay I was talking about with this, and I can't remember who it was, but I'm like, they showed this thing on TV one time about the gorillas eat ants or eat termites. You ever seen that? You ever seen the gorillas eat termites? It's like this big old thing eats these little bugs. And it's got to take a lot of bugs to do it. And so this big old gorilla thing is sitting there, and he's at a termite hole, and he's eating termites, right? One at a time. And all of a sudden, this gorilla decides this is hard. And he takes a stick or a piece of grass straw and takes off the leaves. And he takes that straw and he sticks it down in the termite hole. Has anybody ever seen this before? And when he pulls it out, what's on the stick? A whole bunch of termites. And he goes, yeah, baby, and just slurps it off. That's like, so this gorilla went from, man, this is too much work. Can I do it better? Can I do it more efficiently? Can I do it more effectively? Takes the straw, pulls it out, and gets 10. You understand what I'm saying? Now, I'm not saying we're gorillas, and I'm not saying we're others, but I think everything wants to get better. And even in nature, it's called evolution, isn't it? Things evolve and get better. But evolution is nothing but change. Evolution, in a positive direction, is change. If it goes in a negative direction, you know what it is? It's called extinction. Change in the opposite. You don't evolve. You become extinct. You with me? Now, some people in this room are the people who say, I'm just going to stand still. I'm not going to go forward and not going to go backwards. I'm going to stand still. You understand? You know the people I'm talking about. I'm certainly not talking about anybody in this room who would do that. They would never be complacent and stay in the same place and say, that's too much work to do that. No, they're not going to do that because y'all are not like that. But there's some people who say, I'm just going to stand still. And when they stand still, what they don't realize is everything else around them moves one way or the other. And for the most part, everything around them moves this direction. So they actively did not do anything to become extinct, but the world around them did things that will make them extinct if they don't change and evolve. Are you tracking with me? And because of that, being inherent in this, the natural order of nature and animals and creation, we're part of that creation that exists in us. And that's why I think we want to improve. We have a natural desire for self-improvement. But I also think we also want to have an impactful life. I think every human wants to make an impact some way or another. Every individual in this room wants to make an impact in their family, in their world, in their community. Somewhere you want to matter. You want to make a difference. And those two things of wanting to have self-improvement and having an impactful life. And let me tell you, when that gorilla learned how to eat termites, do you think he hid it and didn't show any of his other gorilla buddies? Or he hid it. It's just me. I've learned how to do this. I don't want anybody else to do it. No. They all are watching. Everybody's watching to improve, and they'll learn from you or me or you. Everybody can learn from each other to do the self-improvement, and then that makes an impact on others. So it's the beginning of impactful life. So that's led me to give you today, and I'll cover this over the next several weeks, to give you what our 2017 focus is for this church. And it's 3 words: improvement for impact. That's what we're going to do. We're going to work to help as individuals and as small groups and a bigger group to improve so that we can have a more impactful life. We're going to take action. We're not going to sit back and let life pass us by and wait. We're going to take action. Does everybody understand that? That is the direction. We're going to have, what did I say it was? Improvement for impact. Now, when I talk about this, I thought about where would I start in teaching you about this. And one of the books that I love in the Scriptures, other than Daniel, which is why Danielle is named Daniel, after Daniel, that has impacted my life, is Nehemiah, the book of Nehemiah. It's an Old Testament book that talks about a rebuilding of a culture, a rebuilding of a people who had got dispersed by life, had got dispersed because various other cultures would come and beat up on them and take advantage of them and take advantage of their generosity or their lack of wanting to fight, or they're trusting God so much that they wouldn't take things in their own hands and just do it themselves. This culture I'm talking about is the Jewish culture that was attacked for nearly 70 to 100 years by the Babylonians, by the Assyrians, various other the Persians would attack this group. And over a period of time, Jerusalem was like their headquarters, their capital, their Washington, D.C. And in that time, they fortified it with walls. Okay, it wasn't like building the walls around the United States like you hear a lot of now, but it's about building the walls around that capital, around that one area. And in the center of that one area is their temple, their place of worship, which was the center of their life that they believed it was like God was there and represented there. And this culture of Jewish people were beaten up by the Babylonians, by all these others, and they fought on. Every time these other groups came in, they just destroyed it. And they took more and more of the Jewish way of life, of the Jewish faith, of the Jewish, they just tore it apart. Now, the Jewish people themselves still had this faith, but it took a hit when they kept seeing their temple destroyed, or the walls destroyed, or they were unable to have commerce going on because thieves and bandits and the bad guys would come in and take advantage of the people. Mafia-type style people would come in and take advantage of this broken culture. And the hard thing was that many of the people who were in this culture that were the top dogs, the real scientists, the real thinkers, the real up-and-comers, the real royalty would be, during those fights and battles, would be captured and taken off in exile. So all the top people, all the ones that you would expect change to come from had left. So there's really no leaders. It's just a bunch of people like us wanting and hoping for someone to step up and be a leader. We don't like the situation and we don't like the things that are going on, but we need change. And no one come. And no one came. So the story I'm going to start you out with today is starting at the beginning of Nehemiah in chapter 1. So if you've got your Bibles, you can pull that out, and I'm just going to touch on this for a few moments here in Nehemiah. Okay? Nehemiah chapter 1. Now I'm going to read to you, and I may not do very well with these Jewish names, but I'm going to say them as best as I can, okay? So if you know them better, you can let me know after the service that I said it incorrectly. The words of Nehemiah, son of Hakaliah. In the month of Kislev, in the 20th year, while I was in the citadel of Susa, Hananiah, one of my brothers, came from with some other men, and I questioned them about the Jewish remnant that had survived the exile, about Jerusalem. So I'm going to pause here. Nehemiah was one of the groups that was the up-and-comer, one of the people that was taken away because he was either royalty, he had a lot of brains on his head, something caused them to say, he's a cut above, we're taking him away. And you understand, if I take all your leaders away, and there's no leaders around, and if nobody steps up, that culture's pretty doomed. I can keep you in a prominent state of servitude forever until a leader comes up and said, that's enough. And that's what they did. And so they took Nehemiah as one of the exiles. And he had went back. It says that he was in the citadel of Susa. He was back in the Babylonian headquarters. Now I'll tell you this, you'll find out later. He's the cupbearer to the king. Meaning he samples the king's wine, which sounds like a great job. I mean, some of you are going, man, I'd have that job all day long. Sample the wine? Well, that's great. No, because they were people poisoning the kings back then to get rid of them. And so you're the sample guy. So you die before the king dies. So every day, every meal, every moment, he put his life on the line for this king. And he had no choice because he was a captive. But he did it. Okay? So it's saying here that a couple of his friends, or a couple of guys that were fellow Jews, it says, one of my brothers, I don't know if it's his actual brother coming to see him, or just one of his brothers, like one of my family members, came from Judah, which is the county that Jerusalem was in. So they're from that area. And he had some other guys, and he said, I just asked them some questions about the Jewish remnant, the people that were left over, that had survived the exile. They didn't get exiled out. And how's Jerusalem doing? How's that beautiful city of mine? How's that? Have y'all got it fixed? Have you got it repaired? And they said to me, in verse 3, those who survived the exile are back in the province. Yay. So they got exiled out, but they started coming back. Yay, man, that's good. People are coming back home. It's a homecoming. And then it says, and they are in great trouble and disgrace. They're not just in trouble. They're in disgrace. They're embarrassed. They're an embarrassment to everybody else. They're back, but it's not them. They go on to say, and the wall of Jerusalem is broken down. In fact, so the walls are broken down, and it says, in fact, that its gates have been burned with fire, meaning that it was stone walls with wooden gates. So they not only burned the gates down to where, they can go chop some trees down and put a door back up. Oh, no. We knocked over the wall blocks and all. And we had armies to destroy that. Now you have nothing. You don't have tools. You don't have anything. And the city's in disarray. When Nehemiah, this is him speaking because he's writing, he says, when I heard these things, I sat down and I wept. And for some days I mourned and fasted and prayed before the God of heaven. You ever felt like that? Things were just so bad that you just wanted to just sit down and cry. That things have gotten so bad. Things have gotten so terrible that there's no way you can turn left, right, up, down, any way, any dimension you could think of. Things are just bad. And you're sad. You just cry and you don't understand. I don't feel good. Why don't I feel? And many of us in this room have felt like that at some point or time in this past year. And some of us feel that way even the holidays when everybody else is feeling good. We might have a loved one that's not there, or the death of a loved one affecting us. We might have diseases that have been introduced into our lives and things. We might have situations, family members. And all of these things just make us feel like I just want to cry. But I got to get up and go to work. I got to get up and do my thing. So I put on my makeup. I brush my hair for those of you that have hair to brush. And I get up and I go to work. And I fake it. And I think about, man, if I just get to a new year, I'll change. I'll just do different. But right now I just feel like crying. Nehemiah is here. But there's something that I want you to understand about this. What happened in this story is the exact thing that I said that the new year represents to me. There's a reset button being hit. Okay? Take one hand and hold it out like this. Make it into a fist. Turn it over. I love doing this. This is it. That's your reset button. Hit your reset button. Hit it again. Okay? When things happen, we want to hit the reset button. And here's what I want to tell you. Number one, some things in your life that will do this is sometimes it's the circumstances of your life hit that reset button and you didn't want them to hit it. You give me an example? Cancer. Diagnosed cancer. Diagnosed diabetes. Can't get pregnant when you're trying to get pregnant. Get pregnant when you're not trying to get pregnant. Job changes. Those are reset buttons. Everything changes. You can't wait to January. You understand what I'm saying? If you're all of a sudden pregnant, right? And you weren't planning on being pregnant, you can't wait to January 1st to say, well, we'll hit the reset button then and we'll figure this out. That life is hitting your reset button. Would you agree? You go to the doctor and that doctor calls you back and tells you you've got diabetes. You can't say, oh no, I'll wait to January to change my diet. I'll change how I'm going to live in January. You can't. That reset button got hit for you, didn't it? Sometimes circumstances of life reset or hit a reset button. Our button can be activated by other things. And what I found in this is when Nehemiah was taken into exile, it was out of his control. And the Babylonians hit his reset button. I don't care if you're king. I don't care who you are. I don't care who you know over in Jerusalem. I don't care what you do. In Babylon, you are going to be the cupbearer to the king, and you're going to drink this. And if this poison's good, we got 20 others waiting in line to get this. Somebody else, circumstances of life, reset Nehemiah. So that's one way reset happens in our life. The second way is other people's actions. In this story, we hear that these other people, his friends, Hananiah and these friends come to him and they give him information. And when he gets this information, Nehemiah has been functioning on the thing that everything is getting better in Jerusalem, right? Now he's confirmed that it's not. Have you ever been in a situation where you thought things were getting better only to find out that it wasn't? That you've been working so hard and you're thinking you're making headway, heading in the right direction, only to find out that you've gone the wrong direction? Every man in here ought to be nodding their head right now. Because I know you guys have been driving in the car with your spouse, loved one, child, somebody else, and we are so good at directions. I don't care what Siri says, we're going this way. And we making good time doing it. Only to find later on down the road, what? We went the wrong direction. And so we just start telling our loved one, well, we're just going a different way today. I wanted to drive that extra 2 hours out of the way, and I didn't want to stop at that gas station like you told me to and find out where we were. And it's okay. It's a sightseeing day. See, sometimes Nehemiah has been thinking everything is going better. And these other people brought him information that changed his point of view. And they hit the reset button. That information hit the reset button. So other people's actions, and that's your fill in the blank. Sometimes other people's actions or words or comments will hit your reset button. You can't wait to January 1st. It's hit right that moment. And then the last one is that sometimes you got to take your own actions. And you have to hit your own reset button. And this is the one we're going to focus on this year. In this moment when Nehemiah heard this, right? Remember it said that he heard this. So they hit, so the first reset button was he got captured. Somebody else, other circumstances outside of his control. The next one was the people told him stuff. And what does he do? He sits down, it says he cries and he mourns. Now he could have stayed right there for days, mourning and crying. Right? Because Jerusalem's gates are burned down. The walls are torn down. The people are there, but they're in disgrace and shame. He decides to hit a reset button and do something. He stops crying and he stops mourning. Or in addition to mourning and crying, he begins to fast in prayer or fast and pray. He hit his reset button and said, I'm no longer just going to be a victim and cry about this. I'm going to reset and I'm doing something. And all I can do in this moment is fast and pray. All I can do is get closer to God at this time. And for many of us in that room, that's the first place we need to start. We need to start right there. We have to intentionally hit our reset button and say, I am no longer going to be a victim of this disease, of this relationship, of this situation. I don't care if somebody else brought it on me. I don't care if I heard it from somebody else. I don't care if it's just random situations. I'm no longer going to be a victim. I'm going to take the first step to moving to be a victor. Victory. It starts me resetting right now, today. So how does this connect with improvement for impact? See, I think successful, lasting improvement or being impactful or what you might call positive life change begins with a couple of things. Number one, you got to realize, it starts when you realize things aren't as good as they should or could be. Now you think about the things going on in your life, usually that's the tipping point. For Nehemiah, when he found out things aren't as good as what I thought they could be, things aren't as good as they should be, that's his tipping point, reset. Think about the things in your life, the things that we put up on that screen. Remember earlier, all those things that was up, the relationships and things like that. These things are in you. They're in me. These are the things that we believe that we're sitting here going, things aren't as good as they should be. I'm getting to do my New Year's resolution. But they were all up at relationships. We're going to wait these relationships to fix themselves. We're going to wait for our health to fix itself. We're going to wait for our attitude to fix itself. We realize that things aren't as good as they should or could be. And maybe that's where you are today. In those areas you're going, it could be better. And let me tell you, don't be afraid of that. It's inherent in you. You're always looking to improve. That's our nature. If things aren't good, we want to improve. What's the thing is, we keep thinking you got to wait to New Year's to do it. Why can't you do the reset button several times in a week, a month, a year? Heck, I've reset like right in a row. I don't know. Have you ever played a video game? Any of y'all ever played a video games? Man, I'm doing this thing now. It's called Sudoku or Sudoku. I don't know what it is. What is it? Do you know what I'm talking about, where you put the numbers in there? If that thing gives me a bad board on my phone and I try it, I hit reset and I start over, buddy. Because I'm like, it just makes me mad. Now, Susan's going, that's not fair. You're not supposed to do that. You're supposed to work through that. I'm like, but you know what I'm saying? I'm like, because I'm trying to beat records. Anyway, but the next thing is, after you've realized that things aren't as good as they should or could be, to have an lasting. See, that's another thing, successful and lasting. Some of us had improvements, but it doesn't last. Some of us had improvements, but we weren't really successful. And those improvements that we made may have helped us in some areas, but didn't make us have an impactful life. This is what we're after as a church. So successful, lasting improvements or being impactful happens when I intentionally activate my reset button. You have to intentionally do it. It's not going to reset itself. Your life won't reset. Your attitude won't reset on its own. You have to reset it. There's sometimes circumstances you can't just wait on winning the lottery. You understand what I'm saying? In our house, we wait on winning the lottery. I'm waiting on winning the lottery. And I've yet to buy a ticket. You understand what I'm saying? That's how that is. The lottery, somebody's going to mysteriously drop in and give me money like I've just won the lottery. I never bought a ticket. Guys, it's not going to happen that way. That's for those books and channel on there where the Harlequin romance places do when the girl finds the guy and he happens to be a prince and he marries him and all those Christmas. Y'all been watching that stuff. I know y'all. Am I the only one watching that woman's channel? Ladies Home Net. Well, I don't know what it is, but it's like Lifetime. There you go. I didn't hear a single bass voice say Lifetime right there. Other than my own. Yep, there I go. I'm caught. Well, let me tell you, that's going to change in my household. See, I'm digressing for a minute. We've had one remote control for the living room. My wife and my daughter do not allow me to have that. Guess what I got for Christmas? A second programmable remote. Now they're working to figure out how to hide two of them. But I got my own. I'm going to put it on a necklace and wear it around there and just keep it with me. So, yeah, I'm putting it on my phone app. That's right. That's next. So here's the other thing. So here's what I want to try to tell you on this closing up as we're getting close. Nehemiah, when he first had the reset button by the information he was giving, got all emotional. He cried and he mourned. And I'm not saying crying and mourning is a bad place to be. But he chose to hit the reset button to move from being all about my emotions and my feelings to being about actions. That was his choice. That's the places that we go to move from being a victim to being a victor. So when we do that, look at that. I'm sitting here going, successful, lasting improvement or being impactful comes when I intentionally begin to take small steps toward my desired destination. See, he was intentional. He started taking steps. First thing he did was he fasted and he doubled up. He doubled down if you're a blackjack player. He doubled down. He's putting it all in. I'm all in if you're a poker player. If you're a risk taker, I don't know all the other analogies I could put up. But he doubled up. And it says, for some days I fasted. He didn't do it for one day. And for some days I prayed. See, some of us are one and done. You understand? That's why we fail on these resolutions. We're done, one and done. We'll try it one time, but then we're done with it. One time, and we're done with it. For some days he fasted. For some days he prayed. Because when he hit that reset button, he said, I'm different today. See, everything he'd done from that point on, and you'll find out over the next several weeks as we go through this, is that he is action-driven, and he's proactive, and he puts self-imposed actions in place. He's no longer letting everything dictate to him what's going to happen. He begins to be active with God in taking care of things. So he intentionally began taking small steps toward my or his destination. I had a thing that we said several months ago when I preached this. I can't remember what time frame it was, but I thought it was pretty good then, so I brought this back up. I made the statement, small steps consistently taken in the same direction will take you a great distance. It's not about the big take, it's about the small steps you take, and consistently taking those small steps. Fasting and praying may not seem like a big deal, but that small step, consistently praying, fasting, begin to move into actions where it moved from being just about emotions and crying and I'm sad about this to where I'm going to make a difference. his improvement of his relationship with God through fasting and praying led to, and what you will see, an impactful life that comes up. And we'll talk about that later. So going back to these questions I asked you earlier on the Metrometer. What areas of your life would you like to reset so you could start improving and making a positive impact on yourself and on others? See, I don't think, as Lindsay and the group comes back up, I don't think that you need to worry about that one day on the calendar. I don't think that's the big thing. I think you need to be thinking about this for a longer period of time. I think we as a church, we need to be very intentional about this. I think if you're going to hang around us for this next year, and I'm not talking about, because I'm going to tell you something. There's phrases. Where's the people that's helped me with the message series? Hold your hands up over the last couple of weeks. Okay, you see their hands popping up there? Okay, down their hands. Okay, here's one of the things I said that we do, that I fail at. Here's the 3 words, and it's going to be a sermon, I'm telling you. Finish, finish, finish. I got that from Dabo Swinney, because they had Alabama last year, and they didn't finish. I heard Nick Saban say it a couple years prior to that when they got beat. We didn't finish. We had them and didn't finish. I start things and I don't finish them. And where my failure is, I start things and before that gets finished, I start 5 others. And my whole life is this constant circle of starting and starting and starting and not finishing. And let me tell you, if you're one of those people that's like that, it's an emptiness in you. Because all you're known as a starter, but you're not known as a finisher. So this year, one thing we're working on as a church. Every single thing that we do as a church, every ministry, every outreach, every activity, everything that we do will revolve around that 3-word phrase, improvement for impact. So we're going to finish. So don't think you just have one day to figure this out. Take this week. I want you to take these next moments as we're singing this last song, and I want you to really consider praying over this in your life and putting down those things of what you would like to improve in your life so that you can have an impact in this world. And write those down, and we'll bring them back next week. Or post it on that thing online when you go home and get on your computers. So bow your heads right now. We're going to get ready to sing our last song, but I want you to think about it. So I'm trying to make this impactful for you. I'm going to pray for you as we prepare to sing this last song. Father God,